Our next question is which distinction conflict is most worth emphasizing today to understand politics? Okay, so let's go back to the reading. So Lippmann says that the conflict between good men and evil men is not the issue. Okay, or here's another way of saying it. But if the issue is not between honesty and dishonesty, where is it? And he says in this paragraph, let's see. If you stare at the checkerboard, you can see it as black on red or red on black, as series of horizontal, vertical, or diagonal steps which recede or protrude. The longer you look, the more patterns you can trace, and the more certain it becomes that there is no single way of looking at the board. So with political issues. There is no obvious cleavage which everyone recognizes. Many patterns appear in the national life. The progressives say the issue is between privilege and the people. The socialists say it is between the working class and the master. Okay, and this is familiar from our reading in the Communist Manifesto. This point of view that the major political divide, the most fundamental way to think about politics is as a class warfare. So we have two options. We could think of so far. We could think of politics as sort of a struggle of good versus evil. We could have, and that's sort of what Lippmann sees is a common way of thinking in the United States. You could also have sort of a socialist or communist point of view that sees class warfare, the haves versus the have-nots, or the working class versus the master class. But let's see what Lippmann has to say. When you rise up and announce that the conflict is between this and that, you mean that this particular conflict interests you. The issue of good and bad men interests this nation to the exclusion of almost all others. But experience shows, I believe, that it is a fruitless conflict and a wasting enthusiasm. All right, well, we could actually put that in the previous question that we had covered, the first question. So I'll go ahead and just put that up there. So that's a problem with we have to abandon that idea. Okay, let's go back. Yet some distinction must be drawn if we are to act at all in politics. With nothing we are for and nothing to oppose, we are merely neutral. This cleavage in public affairs is the most important choice we are called upon to make, and this is really the preface to politics. Before we're really going to talk about politics, we have to figure out what is the major cleavage or issue. Fundamental issue. In large measure, it determines the rest of our thinking. Now, some issues are fertile, some are not. Some lead to spacious results, others are blind alleys. With this in mind, I wish to suggest that the distinction most worth emphasizing today is between those who regard government as a routine to be administered and those who regard it as a problem to be solved. Okay, so there's the distinction there. So it's between those who regard government as a routine to be administered and those regarded as a problem to be solved, the routiner versus the inventor. So let's go ahead and put that there. All right, good. So obviously Lippmann seems to favor the idea of government as being a problem to be solved. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the next question. The next question is, what is the routiner? So let's go ahead and focus in on that question there. What is the routiner? Okay. So, well, we've already seen that the routiner regards government as a routine to be administered. So let's take a look. The class of routiners is larger than the conservatives. The man who will follow precedent but never create one is merely an obvious example of a routiner. So the most obvious example is the person who follows precedent but does not create one. Okay, so it seems that Lippmann thinks that it's important for us to be creating new precedent rather than following old precedents, and this is sort of based on the assumption that that the world and social conditions are always changing. and therefore old precedents. Precedents do not apply. Okay, or irrelevant, or something like that. Let's see if we can find anything else about the retainer. So to him, government is something given as unconditionally as absolutely as ocean or hill. Let's see. What he thinks is the heavens above him is nothing but the roof. Okay.